like and they're my bosses technically, so I literally have to like conspire against my bosses.
It's got. And you know what? There are people that would love to do that.
Yeah,
when you put it with that perspective. So, I have a question because and I'm gonna be honest, I don't have I don't have ringtones on my phone much, but I do have the ringtone that Sal had on his phone for that one punch.
Yeah.
It's on my phone, and that is you. Am I correct?
You are correct. That's a ring. That was the first ringtone I think I've ever made. I've been a musician since high school, and I've always been making songs. And then the guys were like, "We need a ringtone for Sal to go off because we don't want to use like a stock one. Let's have something that's really annoying." And that was the most annoying thing I could think of. You know what's funny about it? That ringtone though. There's like people who've made a copy, like a dummy version, or like they've ripped it off and they're selling it. But there's my true one is on iTunes. It's under my own name, Casey Jost. Whose phone is ringing? WHOSE. And but there's a ton of like these other people have like ripped it off. It's so funny. I'm honored, because copying is a form of flattery, but it is funny.
Yeah, I just got my phone and it's actually right here.
That sounds like me.
Yeah, that's actually on my ringtone, not on my phone. I do that because it cracks my son up. It cracks my son up and I play it. So I'm honored. I'm honored. That's so nice. Yeah, what other songs have you written for the show that actually people would have heard? I actually don't know. That's curious to me.
Oh yeah. That's like sort of my thing. The guys always kind of call on me to do that. Just recently, I did a song there was a toy that they were selling in like a focus group.
Oh, yeah,
called Toilet Soldiers.
Oh, that was you? Is that you?
Yeah.
Oh,
so that
awesome.
one, I edited and directed a bunch of those videos, but so did some of the other writers, like this guy John Zaluga edited and directed a bunch, and then some of the songs were also made by some of the other writers, James McCarthy, Joe Rambergio. But I also there were these songs that they were playing in a music store as like their demo. And it was like, there's one that was like a Sensitive Sal song that was like, I'm a sensitive guy, There was one like that. There's a Joe one called Death, Destruction, Diarrhea. I've made a bunch of insane songs that I would never think I would make. But when you're putting it in like, when you're casting it to the Jokers, anything goes.
That's true. I actually have a question though. When it comes to like the sets, like you have the focus groups, did they know what you're going to show them at all before they air?
No, not at all. So the way the focus groups work is we reach out to, on some, websites and stuff like that, because we were looking for focus group participants, and we give them this survey. And what's cool about the survey is we ask them like, some questions, like we'll ask them like, what are your favorite TV shows? And if you're a fan of Jokers, if you've seen Jokers, you're usually a fan of it. That's just kind of what I've told people. It's like when people are like, oh, what show do you work on? I'll be like, it's this show called Impractical Jokers. If you watch it, you'd probably like it. And I find that that's true. Like if you've watched it, you'll either like love it and be obsessed with it, or you might hate it. I don't know. So we often, when we have people fill out these surveys, if anybody writes back Impractical Jokers, we will not invite them to the survey. So that's a way to weed people out who know the show as well. Even sometimes we'll have like a check box of shows like Seinfeld, Simpsons, and Impractical Jokers. We'll have a bunch. So if anybody, it's like which of these shows are your top 5 or top 10? And if people check on Impractical Jokers, then we will not have them be on the survey. So that's kind of how we find people who don't know the show. But they mostly show up just to like get $5 to $20. They're there for like, to get like a few bucks, and they know that they have to like be in the whole survey. So they're pretty attentive. They get paid afterward. And so this last one where we did these toys, the people were so vocal because the more of a focus group it is, the more where they were like asking them for their opinions on like toys. Everyone's got an opinion of toys. We all grew up with toys. We want to say what we like and what works well for kids. Everybody's opinionated about things like that.
Yeah, that was a fun one. That was actually really fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie. I was gonna say, but the Jokers though, did they see those videos before they air them? Like before they show them in there? Did they see them?
Well, the Jokers would see the one that the other guy was going to see.
Okay,
So,
that's good.
they basically selected, what the toy was, and sometimes they would give the vision of what they see the commercial like. But they would kind of like at this point in like season 6 and 7, they kind of let us run wild with with our own ideas, which is cool because they trust us and we really like follow their lead. Like everything we do is in the spirit and try to be in the voice of the guys. That's why we're getting paid as producers. We try to mimic what they would do, and then they'll watch things and be like, no, this doesn't seem right for the show. They're always like very heavily in the creative, but sometimes like some of the commercials, maybe Sal or like another guy would be like, I want to be surprised for both. I want to see them fresh. I know that you have something funny. I want to watch it on the spot in the moment so that I'm also enjoying it. And that's something that will happen occasionally. Murr really likes to be surprised with everything.
That's cool. That's good to know. Then I'll know that for future shows when he's so surprised. Now I know why.
It's authentic. They would never fake. That's the thing. It's like they want everything to be as real as possible. And that's why they have us to begin with, is to just help them out so that they don't, because sometimes you get sterilized to like funny ideas. If they read too much into, or if they think too much before a bit about what to plan, they'll be desensitized, especially for stuff where it's like, don't laugh. Like the name game. Nowadays we make up a lot of the names because they don't want to get desensitized to making up names. So they want to laugh on the spot. They want to have fun. So that's why we do that.
That's good to know. They want to have fun just as much as the audience does. It's good to know. It's actually really good to know.
Yeah, it's fun.
So,
but they're also so heavily. It's also cool to know that they're so heavily involved because they are, and they care about the show so much, and they want to make sure that it's really in their voice and it's authentic. Because that's the thing. It's the most authentic show on television ever. It's just these 4 guys that embarrass each other and like come up with ideas. It's really cool.
I'd love to know when did Sal falling over become a thing? Because that's hysterical to me. That's when you know it's funny, when Sal's on the floor or falling into a wall. Or I think it's the Captain Stamp Belly moment. We played that audio to start a show like a couple weeks ago, and I played the audio and it ends with I think I had heard Sal fall. It's one of my favorite clips because I'm like, Sal just falls all the time. Is that just Sal being natural, or do you guys get him to do that because it's so funny?
I've known Sal for a long time. Before the show, we'd go to karaoke and end up on stage, and then like something would break, and then he's just laughing and falling down. Like I've known him. You could picture it. We used to be at bars all the time. Like he used to be a bartender, and we'd be hanging out late at night, making each other laugh. And sure enough, he'd fall over and like behind the bar and knock over bottles. And people would be like, "Is he drunk?" And we'd be like, "No, he's the bartender. He's the most sober." He loses control of his faculties.
Yeah, it has become a game now. Watching the show, there goes Sal. There goes Sal. There goes Sal and Q. They're on the floor. Like, it's become a game now. It really has. We're threatening to make it into a drinking game because it's becoming that now.
Yeah. Sal falls down, and Q's new thing is like he throws up.
Oh yes, that's true. That's a valid point, actually. Oh my god.
He like throws it up from laughing. It's so funny.
Oh yeah. All right, my wife sent me 2 questions. I'm going to throw these out to you. What would be the next celebrity that you'd like to step in for a Joker, a la one Joey Fatone?
Okay, so would it be? Do you have a Joker in mind, or is it just like any celebrity that I want?
Any celebrity you would love to come on the show?
Well, I would love. I'm a really big Jim Carrey fan. I've always liked to work with him because, growing up, he was like my favorite. So he's definitely one guy that I would just love to meet. And so selfishly, I would just want him on the show so I could have to work with him. And he's forced to listen to me, maybe. That's a good one. I would say Julia Louis-Dreyfus is someone who would be a very fun, could be really to see a female Joker step in.
That's a good one. I like
that. I like Steve Carell because he looks so similar to Joe Gatto. That's like a fun.
Ooh, That'd be like a Gary Busey Murr moment. Actually, that sounds like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, a little different because I don't think Murr and Busey are too similar.
but that was
Busey's
hysterical.
got too much hair.
That's still a funny moment though in the show. That was still hysterical. One of the most
Yeah.
random cameos I've ever seen was Gary Busey in that moment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But there's also some people like, like I don't know, I like a Will Ferrell. There are some people that I feel like are just like legends that I would like to see how they would do because it's such a different show. It's just like, like people who like Will Ferrell. I never really picture laughing, like breaking, but I would love to put him in a real life scenario and see how he would do in that way.
That's true. How did the relationship with Joey Fatone come about? Because I love Joey Fatone personally. How did he become so associated with this show?
Yeah, that's the thing. Joey is you would never think that he was an international boy band star. He's such a down to earth, cool guy. It almost seems like he's always been a part of the Jokers because they're a similar age, and I think he's from like Florida and Long Island, which is like very much similar to Staten Island and Brooklyn, I guess. So it's a very similar, like they're cut from the same cloth. And Joey early on just found the show. His family, I think his daughter put him onto it. And they reached out and they were like, "Hey, can we come to set?" And the guys were like, "Oh my God, Joey Fatone, the legendary NSYNC member, wants to come to set." And they were like, "What do we got this week?" "Carnegie Deli." "All right, have him come." So he showed up to watch, and then Q was like, "Hey, do you want to sub in for me?" And then it was this whole little scheme that they pulled behind their backs. And that's the origin. It's as simple as that. It was just a person who had seen the show, reached out in some way, like either Twitter or something, and it was just this like, "No, be quiet. Don't tell the other guys you're coming." It's like always like that.
That is pretty funny. And I'm a big Joey Fatone guy, even going back to NSYNC, but also like my big Frankie Wedding. He's hysterical in that movie. So for me, there's things like that. It sounds like how old are you, like Casey? I think we're the same age, around the same age.
I'm 32.
I'm 35, so we're actually closer to
that. Yeah.
That works. I'm also from Jersey, so I'm actually from New Jersey.
Really?
Yeah, I'm from Garfield, New Jersey.
Oh, cool, man. I grew up in Staten Island. My wife is from Jersey, though.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I had that little small town in Jersey thing. I try to hide the accent when I'm out here, but sometimes it comes out when I'm talking to East Coast people. So, all right, one more from my wife, and this is because my son is obsessed with Captain Fatbelly, so she had to ask this. What superhero would you want to make one of the Jokers, either made up or established?
So wait, so the question is, what superhero would I want the Jokers to pair up with? Like
make them on the show, make them into on the show, either made up or established. And that goes back because my son loves Captain Fatbelly. So,
gotcha. So we're talking like real superheroes, though, right?
Sure.
I would like to see Sal get into any superhero's costume. That would just be a fun thing because I know that he cares about fashion and he would want something that would fit him well, but like most of it's spandex, so I don't know how well it would be. That's my first thought. But I think he'd actually pull it off. I think he'd look good in the Spider-Man colors. He would be so like Murr as like Superman, just because I know he'd be afraid of heights would be very fun. That's pretty good. I think Murr as also the Invisible Woman would be great, just to get him out of the picture.
Oh my God!
I could think of a lot for Murr. No, I think I'm a pretty big comic book guy. I feel like Q as Wolverine would be really fun. I think that would be something that would be good for him. He's so much of he rages against authority. He's like the kind of the bad boy. And I don't know, Gatto, I would want to see him as like Raphael from the Ninja Turtles. I know it's like I just picture him really funny with those little knives. I picture him spinning them around, making people laugh.
The visual of that's funny, and he has the attitude to pull it off, especially in the movie version. So.
Oh yeah.
So
He probably would be. He'd probably make a better Michelangelo just because he puts down so much pizza. But
is that true, by the way, that he eats